As most of you have probably guessed by now, I am now fully addicted to the game known as Genshin Impact. I started about 1 month ago, actually it's about 1 month to date, and I've really been enjoying the game. Some of my other friends recently started playing Genshin and I decided to follow suit. Not because I thought I would enjoy the game, but instead because I wanted more games to play with my friends. And that led to a set of unforeseen circumstances. But before we get into exactly what's been going on in this last month of Genshin Impact addiction, let me get the basics out of the way. My name is Jonathan, but most of you know me as Six, and today I'll be going over exactly what was mentioned prior, my Genshin Impact addiction. Now, if you're interested in more content from the Fiction Forge or want to be notified when more videos get released, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification. Now, without further ado, let's get this video started. Starting off with Genshin Impact, I really had my doubts, having tried the game before back in 2020 and deciding it wasn't for me. Until it was. When I restarted the game recently with my group of friends, we all had comments about the game, for example, its gacha system, since it was the primary reason I didn't initially want to play the game. Having characters that I might want to play locked behind a paywall didn't seem all that appealing to me, since I am a person who, in all honesty, cannot gamble for the life of me. But since then, I have come to learn that there are both up and downsides to the Genshin gacha system, including things like soft and hard pity and the win-loss ratios of 50-50s, meaning pulling the banner character versus not pulling the banner character. But to break it down into short terms, if I roll 180 times, I'm guaranteed to get the banner character I am trying to get. But as one might guess, that is not too great, since it either implies spending real money or grinding, which in my case is grinding, since I do not plan on spending money on this game and actually want to go through the free to play grind, since I find that part of most games more appealing. Buying in-game resources or currency to pay for a gacha system is really not something that piques my interest. But nevertheless, I have progressed pretty far within the game. In fact, the background gameplay you see right now is actually my personal account, or at least one of. I currently have a main and alt account set within the American region for my main, and in the European region for my alt. Initially, I only created the alt to play with my friend A Spectrum D in the European regions, while my main is where I spend most of my time. And for my main, I have made quite a lot of progress. I have hit AR 45 and built up enough AR to go well beyond that when I do my ascension. But for right now, I'm trying to grind up both my primary and secondary team fully to level 80. Currently, characters I have on my main team consist of the new character Veressa and Yansan, Chevris, and Xiangling. Some of the best characters for an overall build like this I have practically seen in the game thus far. Since I haven't really had privy of playing in prior versions, I didn't really know much about the game until I actually started deep diving it. Everything from grinding for XP through ley lines, or having to do story quests, which I did play through all of. To date, I am done with most of the world quests, all of the Archon quests, and a good majority of character quests. And my review on the story itself is actually pretty positive, as I really enjoy not only this game's gameplay, but also its storyline, which I have discovered is probably one of my favorite game storylines ever. And I wouldn't really decide not to play it if I could do it all over again. In fact, if I could do it all over again, I likely would have started earlier, since I started on last month's Farina banner, and sadly missed the character by one roll, going into hard pity twice, and even losing my 50-50 once to dilute. Meaning if I could have rolled even one more time on the Farina banner, I would have gotten the character. but instead I ended up with Veressa, someone I'm not too mad about since the character is pretty great overall, and building up her artifact sets and talents has been nothing but fun. But that's only for my experience on my main team. I also have a secondary team consisting of a level 80 Diluc, a level 70 Xingqiu, and some other characters that might cycle in or out, for example my level 70 Barbara or my level 60 Tainari. I'm personally waiting for an upcoming banner with Kanich on it so I can rotate out Tainari and possibly even use Kanich as my main DPS. Since the character was really fun to play in his trials, I am looking forward to him in the future. Possibly even grabbing characters like Raiden Shogun or Mavuika in upcoming banners, while my ult focuses more on secondary team building. For example, the character that I'm primarily focusing on my ult is Jalonen, the first 5-star I rolled on that account. Well, at least a non-standard 5-star, since I once lost my 50-50 on the Zhang Yun banner to none other than Kiki. Which, yes, I could see why a lot of people are upset at pulling this 5-star in particular, but she's been rather good to me on that ult, so I'll keep it. But for now, let's get back to the main. As I progressed through the story, I realized that there were all sorts of aspects to this game. Figuring out if characters are main DPSs, sub DPSs, or supports, or even building them in ways they're not meant to be built, and just creating all sorts of fun gimmicks. For example, by using characters like Zhang Yun, you could for example play a DPS Barbara in the form of Plunge. Obviously, I didn't pull Zhang Yun, so I didn't get to try this out for myself, but I was thinking it the entire time that banner was live. And since then, I realized I need to save up a lot more wishes, which I have steadily been doing. Currently, I am in soft pity, having not yet lost a 50-50, so it really comes down to that exact 50-50 when I hit hard pity to see if I get Kanich or Raiden Shogun. But I know a lot of you probably don't know what that means. When it comes to these two characters, Raiden Shogun is a god known as an Archon, a very good character in Genshin that practically sits at the top of its rankings. But Kanich, a rather new character, is kind of similar. I actually want this character not only for his dendro or plant typing, but also because he is Spider-Man, to explain it blatantly. I really enjoyed playing this character in his trial, and there's something funny about playing a Spider-Man with a Glock and a greatsword, so he is currently at the top of my priority list of characters to get. We're also currently on a very interesting banner rotation with some very interesting characters coming in and out every 2 weeks, with new characters popping up every now and then, all who I am so excited to see. Since I started this game, not only did I fall into the trap of Genshin Impact's lore and the god of the stove, Guba, but also its overall storyline and YouTube scene, since they're all less toxic than I would have imagined from a gacha game. In fact, the community is very interactive and very accepting, since I've been able to practically integrate myself into this community regardless of being a player on the newer side. Even though I have a great grasp of the game thus far, everything from reactions to stats, substats, and so on and so forth, my artifact grind has yet not come to a halt. Since there are so many characters in this game, I still don't know how to play or how to build. No one has actually been all that toxic about me not knowing how to do these things. Instead, they have been really forward going and helping in my journey of playing this game. So not only am I saying right now that this game is incredibly fun, and if you haven't tried it or tried it in the past and decided not to go through with it, maybe give it another shot or a go for the first time. Since this community has helped me not only integrate flawlessly, but also support me every step of the way and is overall accepting of newer players, I think it is one of the least toxic communities in gaming. But don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean there aren't a toxic few. Every community has its bad apples, but don't let those bad apples shape your Genshin Impact journey. But that's enough. I also wanted to go over some of my personal thoughts and theories of what could be seen in the future. Warning for anyone who hasn't played the game or finished the Archon quest at this point, since I am going to add some spoilers from the later Archon quests, and possibly even some opinions that some people do not agree with. Now, from the Archon quest, what I have seen are Archons are gods who gained their Gnosis, an ability or a item gods hold from a sovereign dragon in the past. The current Archon might not be the same Archon who obtained that Gnosis. For example, in the case of the Pyro Archons, who are all human, they only have a set short lifespan. Meaning, over the last 3,000 years, there have been many Pyro Archons. Or in the example of the Geo Archon, Zhongli. He's one of the few remaining gods from the Archon War that's lived to this day, and made himself an Archon in the process. But on that topic of sovereign dragons, so all gods' abilities probably stem down to dragons, but this is still kind of unclear, at least to me. But what I can gain is that an Archon's abilities are connected to a sovereign dragon's authority. One of the theories I would have liked to bring up today is that for every elemental sovereign dragon, there is an Archon in return. Meaning that somewhere along the line, there should be an abyssal one. Considering the Abyss has a Sudai god or Sudai Archon in the form of the Sinner, I personally believe that there's probably someone out there who has access to the power of the Sovereign Dragon of the Abyss. Am I saying that this dragon exists? No. I'm only saying that it could exist, and it would be really cool if it does, especially with cool dragon characters like the eroded Lord of Flames being a big abyssal creature that we fight in Natlan's Act 5. I think there is so much more to go on for the Genshin storyline. Not only do we still have an entirely different continent that's still not been added to the game in the form of Snezhnaya, but also possibly another complete area in the form of the inner workings of the Abyss or the ruins of Conria. There is still a lot to explore that Hoyo has not revealed to us just yet. And everything from beta testers to leakers, this game has had me more excited than anything has in the last few years. Except for a few standouts like maybe the new Doom game or even Baldur's Gate 3, but I digress. This game has practically consumed my life for the last month and will likely do so until the next game comes along. But all in all, I don't ever plan on stopping playing this game, even if I only log on every day to do my dailies, perhaps do some new event quests that pop up, or even just use up my resin. I plan on playing this game to a degree at least once a day. And I think that might do wonders for my schedule, allowing me to more consistently monitor the passage of time while also being able to keep myself busy in a non-toxic, non-consuming way. Since I already finished the main storyline of Genshin, there's not much of it that still has a huge grasp on me, outside of the multiplayer aspects where I play with my friends, or where I help a new player get their world going. So if that convinced you to give Genshin a try, then maybe leave a comment about how you're going to give the game a shot. Or if you want some help in either the American or European regions, feel free to ask. Me and Spectrum recently made a Discord, which is linked down in the description. But this video has gone on for long enough. If there are any other videos you would like to see, make sure to let us know in the comments down below. Recently, me and Spectrum also uploaded a review on Doctor Who's newest episode, so if you haven't yet, go check that out. But with that, this has been Six, and this has been the Fiction Forge. Peace.